Today I'm going to be talking about Nearest Green, the newest product from the Uncle Nearest brand. I'm going to be tasting this brand on camera. I'm going to be comparing the official tasting notes from the brand, from what I'm tasting, and then I'm going to compare the average retail price in my market and let you guys know if I think this product is worth the money. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Donnelly. I'm an expert in distilled spirits with 9 years experience in the alcoholic beverage industry, and my goal is to educate consumers more about the alcoholic beverages they enjoy so they can make better shopping and drinking decisions. I'm a huge fan of the Uncle Nearest brand. I've received the opportunity to visit the distillery in Shelbyville, Tennessee twice now. If you have not visited the Uncle Nearest distillery, I highly recommend you do so. It feels like what Disneyland would be if it was a whiskey distillery. I've also had the opportunity to meet the brand's founder, Fawn, and I've met the master blender, Victoria Edith Butler, on multiple occasions now. But if you're unfamiliar with the Uncle Nearest brand, I'm going to provide a little bit of backstory for you. The story behind Uncle Nearest and what the brand represents is so deep that I'm going to barely be able to scratch the surface. Whether you're already a fan of this brand or you're just now getting into it, I highly recommend that you follow the brand's founder, Fawn, on social media. That woman is a marketing machine, and there's so much content around the history and legacy of this brand. It's an incredibly powerful story, and I highly recommend you do a deep dive. I'll add some links to the description of some resources that I think are worth checking out. As I mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity to meet the brand's founder, Fawn, when she visited Tulsa. Fawn was generous enough to give me a copy of her new book, Love and Whiskey, which I highly recommended. She even autographed this copy. So, Fawn, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the book, and for anyone that is unfamiliar with the book, I highly recommend you go read it. I'll leave a link below in the description of where you can buy it. And as I mentioned earlier, thanks to Fawn, there's been so much produced about the Uncle Nearest story. But if you're interested in the real history of Jack Daniel's and how Uncle Nearest played such an important role in not just the real person of Jack Daniel's, but then the development of the brand, I highly recommend you read this book, Jack Daniel's Legacy by Ben A. Green. This edition even has a foreword by Fawn. And I bought this copy in the gift shop of the Jack Daniel's Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe Ben A. Green, who wrote this book, has no connection to the Green family, which we'll be talking about. The Uncle Nearest brand was created by best-selling author Fawn to honor the legacy of Uncle Nearest Green, a former enslaved man who is credited with not only teaching the real Jack Daniel's how to distill whiskey at the Dan Call farm, but he is also credited with perfecting the commercial use of charcoal mellowing or charcoal filtration, which is the distinct factor that separates Tennessee whiskey from bourbon. And I'll explain that more in a second. Tennessee whiskey is a type of American whiskey. Many people think that Tennessee whiskey is no different than bourbon, but there is a distinct difference. Bourbon is one of the most highly regulated spirit categories in the world. Bourbon follows a variety of rules that are legally laid out, but the most common abbreviation is ABC. A stands for America, which means that bourbon can only come from the United States. B stands for barrel, which means bourbon must be aged in a new charred oak barrel. And C stands for corn, meaning the mash bill for bourbon, or the combination of grains that are eventually distilled into the whiskey, must contain a minimum 51% corn. Well, Tennessee whiskey builds on all the rules of bourbon, but then takes one extra step. That extra step is charcoal mellowing, also known as the Lincoln County process, meaning once that new make whiskey is distilled, also called White Dog, that whiskey is filtered through maple sugar charcoal before going into the barrel. So again, bourbon, it's distilled, it's proofed down to a barrel entry proof of 125, and then it's aged. Tennessee whiskey is distilled, then it is charcoal mellowed, and then it goes into the barrel. And that is what makes Tennessee whiskey a legally binding different category than bourbon. So again, you can have a bourbon from the state of Tennessee, but that does not make it a Tennessee whiskey. Jack Daniel's, George Dickel, Uncle Nearest, these are all Tennessee whiskeys, which means they all go through the process of charcoal mellowing. For anyone that enjoys the style of Tennessee whiskey, and you can thank Nearest Green for his contribution to the whiskey industry, the process of using charcoal for filtration was a method that was imported, much like the slave trade, from West Africa, where people were using it to filter their drinking water. And Nearest, again, is credited with applying this method of filtration through charcoal to whiskey. In this video, I really just want to focus on Nearest Green because it's the newest product and the newest innovation from the brand. But I'm going to briefly just show you the other Uncle Nearest products, and I'll taste through these products in a future video. So the first product is this white label. So that's the 1884. The 1884 name pays tribute to the last year that it is believed Nearest Green distilled whiskey before retirement. The next product in the brand lineup is the 1856. This is believed to be the year that Nearest Green perfected the method of charcoal filtration or charcoal mellowing, also known as the Lincoln County process. I've actually been hoarding an old bottle of the 1856. So you can see this is the old bottle, the bottle pre-COVID, where you can see the house. I've actually gotten the opportunity to visit this house the last time I was in Tennessee with the folks from Uncle Nearest, which I'm very grateful for that experience. So this is the old label and the old bottle pre-COVID before they changed the packaging and I believe also made an adjustment to the juice. Just for comparison, here's the new label that I showed you earlier, and you can see it has the official kind of horseshoe Glencairn logo that Uncle Nearest uses. And then compare that again with the new label. And then previously, the Uncle Nearest Rye was the newest innovation from the brand. Now don't confuse the white label of the rye with the 1884. You can see it has these kind of blue-purple accents on the side. So that helps you distinguish between the 1884, which is a Tennessee whiskey, and this particular product, which is an American rye. And don't confuse the 1856 with their cast strength single barrel. This is a pick I got in Texas as a gift from an employee from the Uncle Nearest brand. So thank you so much. And I've been saving this to open up on a special occasion. And again, this is a single barrel pick from Texas. So don't confuse the black label of the cast strength single barrel with the 1856. I'll taste through all these on camera in a future video. The Uncle Nearest brand is definitely a premium and super premium brand. So it's not cheap. I think the Nearest Green brand, which is this, green label that we're about to try, I think it was a brilliant move from the brand to create something that is more entry level, not just in flavor profile, but price. The ultimate merit of a product is it worth its retail price? And so one of my goals on this channel is to taste these products and compare them to their average retail price and tell you, the consumer, yes or no, this product is worth it or it's not worth it. So that way you can make better shopping decisions. And we've seen a lot of premium brands make this kind of adjustment, right? Some examples that come to mind, so Stranahan, so an American single malt brand out of Denver, Colorado. They had the yellow label, the original, they had the black label, the Diamond Peak, and then they had the pink label, the Sherry Cask Finish. And then they came out with Stranahan's Blue as a more kind of entry-level expression, a more cocktail-friendly expression, with the hope of bringing more entry-level consumers into the brand. Another brand that did this really well is Whistle Pig. So you had the 10-year-old rye, the 12-year-old rye, the 15-year-old rye. These were all incredibly expensive and super premium products. Then they released the Piggyback sub-brand, which had, 6-year age statement rye, 6-year age statement bourbon. And again, more entry-level price point, more cocktail-friendly price point in a way of bringing more entry-level consumers into the Whistle Pig brand. I think Uncle Nearest has done a great job following suit. I've tried this product before, but I'm very excited to revisit it here on camera. All right, enough talking about it. Let's taste it. The nose is described as an inviting aroma of cinnamon, orange zest, and fresh green apple, creating a pleasantly bright introduction. I would say that it's got a very classic, American whiskey, bourbon, Tennessee whiskey nose. I think this has a very pleasant nose that is very representative of this price point. I think you can, you definitely get, cinnamon or those kind of stereotypical baking spices, very barrel forward aromas. But there is this little, and again, maybe I should have smelled this before reading the tasting notes, but there's this, that orange zest and fresh green apple. I could definitely see that. The palate is described as crisp apple flavors carried through seamlessly, blending with citrus peel and subtle maple sweetness, adding depth and balanced richness. All right, let's see how it tastes. This is the first alcohol my palate has tasted today. Not too boozy. This product's at 84 proof or 42% ABV. Not too boozy. And I really don't even think you feel that slight bump. You know, again, this is an entry-level whiskey from 80 proof to 84 proof. You don't even feel that little bump. And I would say there's definitely good flavor. You know, but it fades rather quick, but it fades clean. And it kind of leaves your mouth almost refreshed, ready for the next sip. Crisp apple, you know, I think there's this kind of brightness to it. I think crisp is really the right adjective here. And you still get that subtle maple sweetness, right? You get those you know, those kind of secondary, very stereotypical American whiskey flavors. They're definitely there, but they're relatively subtle. And I really think that kind of crisp apple, I think that might be a really good way of describing this, but let's revisit it for a second sip. Yeah, you can definitely pick out a lot more flavors on that second sip. That shouldn't be a surprise. Citrus peel. You know, I'm getting crisp apple, citrus peel, subtle maple sweetness. I think that could all easily be found. I mean, there's a lot of really stereotypical, really classic whiskey flavors that are very pleasant. You know, I think a lot of time on reviews, people get, you know, lost in the nuances of things. I think a lot of the, you know, I think really the only thing that matters is this product tasty? Is it enjoyable to drink? And is it worth the money that the customer bought it for? So I think this product is very tasty, especially, you know, we'll talk about price here in a second, but it's got good classic flavors, but it's not heavy on the palate and it's not boozy. It finishes in this really clean, crisp way that, again, like almost leaves your palate ready for that next sip. You know, the flavors are, you know, a little simple and the finish is a little short, but again, I think that's to be expected for this price point, and I don't think that's a knock against the product. Just speaking of the finish is described as smooth and warming, yet invites you to take another sip. Oh, okay, there you go. So yes, I definitely think this product is very smooth. I think it's got a pleasant warmness to it, and it finishes with this kind of crisp cleanness that's not heavy on the palate. It doesn't leave your palate fatigued, and really leaves you ready for the next sip. This product has a suggested retail price of $30. And so I think like you could, this is very much a whiskey begging to be mixed in cocktails. You know, whether it's simple mixed drinks, you know, like you're mixing this with ginger ale or you're mixing this with lemonade. One of my favorite drinks to make in the summer with Tennessee whiskey is lemonade, a raspberry liqueur such as Chambord from Brown-Forman, and Tennessee whiskey. And just those three things are absolutely delicious. I mean, it's so simple, but it's so refreshing and, you know, dangerously easy to drink. But I think you could easily put this in a variety of cocktails. I think it could hold up to mixing. It wouldn't get lost. I think that little extra proof would really help it. And again, I think, you know, this is a product that sits at a nice kind of crossroads of flavor profile and price. Let's talk pricing. I've already referenced pricing a couple times. I said, you know, this product has a suggested MSRP of $30. My experience is suggested retail price from suppliers is always a little high. Again, they're trying to give some sort of blanket price that's going to be applicable for every single market. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, every single market has different pricing. So please check your local liquor store for pricing. I'm based here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so I'm going to be referencing average retail price in my market. So in my market, this product retails somewhere between, let's call it $24 and $26. So do I think this product is worth somewhere between $24 and $26? I definitely do. I think Uncle Nearest did a great job with this product. I think it hits a very specific price point, that kind of under $30 entry-level whiskey, but one that is super drinkable and super enjoyable. You know, not all entry-level whiskeys or not all affordable whiskeys are, you know, tasty to drink or, you know, are enjoyable to drink, and I think this product definitely is. I think the brand did a wonderful job of offering customers an affordable entry-level option into the Uncle Nearest brand, and I think they did a good job of calling it Nearest Green as opposed to Uncle Nearest. in order to separate, the kind of more premium, super premium offerings from the more entry level. So you have that kind of clear divide between, the different products. And the real question is, because it's a green label, are customers going to think that this product is a rye? Ever since Bullet Rye, released a green label, lots of American rye whiskeys have used a green label to, kind of follow the trend that American rye whiskeys are packaged with green labels. So I think if customers just understand what this product is and understand how it fits into the greater Uncle Nearest portfolio, I think that, this product is going to be a home run and that customers are really, really going to enjoy it. I think this product lives in that space where if customers are drinking, call it just regular Jack Black, and they want to make a slight trade up, but not too high a trade up, just a slight trade up to something that is perhaps a tad more premium. I think this could be a great option, very similar to from the Jack Daniel's portfolio. They have Jack Daniel's, and then you have a trade up option to Gentleman Jack. Again, this is made very differently than Gentleman Jack, but I think it exists very much in that space where you go from a super entry level product to that first step. But compared to the other products that are $40, $50, $60, this product very much is an entry-level affordable option. Thank you so much again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. I'll link all mentioned resources in the description below. If you're interested in this content but you don't care about the video component, please consider subscribing to my podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and it's just the audio content from these reviews. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I have new content or new product recommendations, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. I'll leave a link below in the description. And if you'd like to support this channel further, please consider becoming a Patreon member or gift me a cocktail to the link below in the description. Thank you so much again for your support. And if you're a brand or a supplier and you're watching my channel, first of all, thank you so much. If you'd like to consider sponsoring a video here on this YouTube channel or a episode of my podcast, please shoot me an email. I'll leave my email below in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching, and please drink responsibly.